Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is GHAIDA RINAWI ZOABI from Nazareth. I'm the head of the Academic Center for Impact Investment and Entrepreneurship at the Coleman College in Rishon in Tzion, Makhla Minhal. And we will start now our panel. I understand that we have some sort of a movie that we... No movie, okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. So our panel is title is how to make an impact with your company. And before we go to our panelists to hear about their work and the impact that they are doing, I want to start with the following numbers. Mainly since tomorrow is is March 8th, which is the Day of Women's Rights. Yay! No. Please, all men here, stop crying and whining, please. Okay. So, do you know, or did you know, that according to Boston Consulting Group, companies with strong female leadership on their board demonstrate above 35% of return on equity compared to others? 1. 2. Did you know that according to a McKinsey study, achieving full gender equality in the workforce could boost global annual GDP by $28 trillion by 2025, by the year of 2025. 3. Did you know that according to a review of the Morningstar Association, for 10-year performance record of 8,000 mutual PMs, only 9% are women? And last, did you know that according to Cambridge Association review, women have only 77% to access to financial services men have? Okay, why am I bringing you all these amazing numbers? Mainly because I believe that impact investing could be one great solution to this issue, to the issue of inequality financially in the gender area in the world. Mainly giving the fact that in 2018, over $450 billion were managed in impact investing, and that the growth of investments for impact investing is estimated at over $1 trillion by the year of 2025. So I want to present to you Redskin, all these Israeli Jewish names is a little bit complicated for me, sorry. CEO of IControl, Alex KAPLUN, CEO of Futuring Up, and Lior Ben Yaakov, VP Business Development of CropX Technologies. So we want to start our panel with a very, very simple question. I hope that we can dig in more in the next round of questions. So please, each one of you, present yourself, your company, your work, and also to talk a little bit about impact of your work. How do you see it? How do you measure it? And then we will go on the more interesting questions.
Thank you. Okay, so my name is Redskin. I'm the CEO and co-founder of IControl. We're developing the first communication device for ALS patients that is wearable and based on AI technology. A bit about our company. So we established the company 3 years ago, and today the IControl is inside the Israeli health basket and also inside the NHS funding. The unique thing about our device is the fact that Today, communication devices for ALS and other locked-in patients are based on, it's actually computers. And when you think about this solution for patients today, so when they wake up in the middle of the night, they don't have the computer in front of them in order to communicate. And when they go outside, the same condition. And the fact that IControl is a wearable device, so they can wake up in the middle of the night today with our device. If the room is hot, if they are choking, they can directly communicate. The device can control also other smart things inside the room through Bluetooth connectivity or Wi-Fi. And the idea, our vision is that every locked-in patient and any other paralyzed patient will be able to wake up in the morning, start communicating, move to the wheelchair, control the smart house. And if you think about that, a wearable device for this condition, this is the solution, this is how it should be. Today we're also expanding to the hospitals and inside the ICU, for example, for ventilated patients with the same need for communication. If you think about that, for any ventilated patient inside the ICU, rehabilitation center, etc. And a bit about where we see the impact. So the impact of IControl is in 3 different ways. First, for the patient. The ability to communicate is something that really gives the hope and the reason to live for millions of patients with our product. Second, to the caregiver. If you think about the responsibility that today a caregiver has, once the patient is going to sleep, so he's out of communication. Someone needs to be close by, or every night is a night of fear, according to the patients, because they don't have any communication. So having a device like IControl for the nighttime changed the whole idea of every patient's lives and the caregiver. And of course, for the family, the friends, the ability to communicate can really change the lives of the whole family and friends. So on.
Why did you build this company?
12 years ago, my grandmother passed away from ALS. This is how I started. In my background, I'm from the fields of physics and finance, so I was in other areas, and I started to volunteer in the Israeli NGO together with Shai Rishoni. He passed away this year also from ALS. And I could see the need. I mean, back then I don't think I would imagine I will be sitting here, establishing a company around this topic. But of course, all my family, my mom especially, is very involved in what we do. And we can see, like, in 3 years, how already the device is changing people's life. I mean.
Great. So what was the question? Well, when I prepare myself for this meeting, I have one announcement. Right now, after hearing your pitch, I have 2. First of all, my co-founder is Shoshi. She's a woman. So we are a great startup to invest. We have great opportunities. Well, my other announcement is that as a good Israeli, I have a beautiful Israeli accent, but I was born in Argentina, which means that my accent is also a Spanish one. So be prepared to hear the most difficult accent you ever heard and enjoy yourself. Well, a little about us. Future Gap is a startup that my partners and me established around 18 months ago. And we give an innovative answer to one of the biggest world challenges of the 21st century. The growing global gap problem of the gap and the incredible gap between the efficient retirement age, that in some cases, some professions, is about 45 years old, and the constant increase of healthy life expectancy. Our platform gives a solution to people is addressed to people 45 years old and older that are laid off or retire from workplaces and need to plan the new stage in life in both professional, financial and personal aspects. And about your second question about that you ask, or I really believe that good ideas doesn't start out of nowhere. I am sure all of you remember the story about Isaac Newton sitting in his garden and the apple falls on his head, right? You all remember. Well, I want to argue that every good idea, or in most of the cases, the good ideas and solutions start from a personal experience. The headache of Isaac Newton, the theory of gravity, and in our case, it was my personal experience. 3 years ago, I had a beautiful career, 25 years old career as a VP in insurance companies and pension funds. And one bright morning, as dramatic as that, the chairman of the company entered my office and said, due to reorganization, we have to let you go. Well, at that moment, and since that moment, I understood and recognized what does it mean to leave workplace when you are 50. And I am sure here, some of you, maybe all of you, or you have been there, or you know someone, a family member or a friend that have been there. Or if you are younger than me, you are going to be there. But your situation is much better than mine that time, because Futuring Up is already as a service. We have our product, so you can be our customers.
Thank you. So first of all, I'm humbled by the experiences that I hear here today on my right. Switching to the world of agriculture, I am Lior Ben Yaakov. I lead business development for CropX. We're an ag analytics company. Basically, I'd say the only do-it-yourself farm management platform that's able, with machine learning, to take data sources from various sources, whether it's imaging, weather, soil types, etc., and close the loop. That's kind of the beauty of it, with bringing data from the soil itself, so where agriculture is really happening, with actual sensors that we developed internally. I don't have it here. It actually is, it's pretty. Now what this does, if I'm the end user, the farmer, I'm helping them optimize their inputs into the field. So again, if we think about the macro level, it's almost a cliche now, but it's actually real. Resources are limited, population is growing, we have to feed everyone, and what we're seeing is that there are a number of industries or technologies that are trying to attack this problem in various ways. You see places where you'll see some urban and vertical agriculture because land is becoming limited, and GMO was part of it, and previous agricultural revolutions like mechanization and GMO, all of that, ways to attack it. We are currently in the most recent agricultural revolution, and I think it will still go on for a number of years, in digitizing, so using information and data in order to work more efficiently. So what we do, specifically with irrigation at this point, but also with nutrient management, is help the farmers understand you're not irrigating enough, or you're irrigating too much, helping them save on resources such as water and now also on fertilizers, and also being able to monitor what's going on in their field, even at the regional level, even at the level of let's not pollute the water systems because I've over-irrigated now and over-fertilized. So this is our way to, that global problem. One, we're helping optimize, so we're being more efficient in the inputs that we're throwing into the fields, and two, helping the yield increase because the field is getting more consistent inputs, and therefore the yield is growing. So we're kind of helping them grow more with less. Why did I join? If that was why the company? So I'm not the founder of the company. I fell in love with the solution. I've been in ag tech over 10 years. I did my MBA at the University of Chicago in the United States. I'm Israeli. And after I studied, I joined the corporate strategy and business development of a very large agribusiness named Cargill. The U.S. folks here might have heard of that small company, and gave me a very interesting exposure to the entire supply chain. Later, when I returned to Israel, I was in the ingredient space, so kind of remained on that supply chain, and thinking about agricultural technologies and the opportunity that you can see outside of the very, very large corporations, but actually with startups, started to interest me quite a bit. And then the CropX solution, I kind of fell in love with the solution. I fell in love with the investors. OurCrowd is one of them. With management, there's really a competitive advantage here that differentiates it from, in Israel, there are about 500 ag tech startups. Very, very, very few of them are actually selling, and very few that are a combination of software and hardware, and those are some of the things that I really liked when I joined. So kind of the background was a good fit, and then I thought it was a good risk to take, and in addition to it being a very interesting market, I think it also makes a lot of sense on a global level. So it really is helping with a problem that goes beyond just the virtual economics. So.
Does that? Okay, great. So going to my next question. In 5 years from now, what do you think the opportunities and the obstacles you will face in your work, whether it's from the investment side, whether it's from partners, whether it's from regulations, whether it's from the product itself, research, capacities, professional capacities, etc., etc.
So first, I think, my own perspective is that the assistive technology field is a great way to develop a company today. Although usually it sounds like more like a niche market, it's a huge opportunity to develop a product and behind it a technology that will be implemented in the future to other fields. And this is something that I believe you'll see more and more companies in this area. You already can see companies like Orcam, Rewalk, and other companies going in this direction. You'll see more and more companies in this area, I believe. In our case, we have a huge vision, I think, for the company today. We are building a product that our vision in 5 years that the IControl will be implemented in, of course, in every house that patients needs for communication, for people, like I spoke, ALS, stroke, spinal injuries, but more important, inside hospitals. Every ICU department will have IControl in order to communicate. Today, there is a gap of communication, and connecting the bed to the nurse station is one of the things that we do today in order to enable ventilated patients that today cannot communicate with the medical staff, the family that are visiting. So we have a big vision for the next 5 years. We have a lot of things to achieve. And the challenges, so it's easier to say what are not the challenges. We have a lot of challenges. But I would say scaling, building the company with the same agenda that started from founders that had and knew about the personal story and the real needs into a corporate that we see today companies in our area reaching revenues like big companies, 1,000 employees, revenues of almost $100 million per year in the field of assistive tech. And sometimes you can see as the company is growing, they're losing the culture, like the value that started really the company. This is one of our challenges. Already now, as the team expanding, we're trying to have the same value we had at the beginning, which is not easy, because you're always trying on the one hand to give the solution and not make it too expensive, not to make it too, and really give good support, and those things are also cost for the company. This is one of the challenges, and also I think something that will be relevant to everyone here in the panel, scaling the company. which is also something that, especially in our area, we're doing it quite slowly in order to give the right support, and this is another challenge we have.
Well, the opportunities and the risk, the opportunities makes the risk. We develop a first of its kind integrated digital platform that provides people that laid out of workplaces or retired a platform to plan the new stage in life in terms of professional, financial, and personal aspects. Well, we are right now developing a solution for the needs of tens of millions of people around the world. That's the huge opportunity, and scaling up in this opportunity is our big challenge, but there exactly is the risk. For sure, more companies are going to start dealing with this field, and maybe you know, at HR Analytics, many companies start making new development about artificial intelligence in the onboarding issues, recruiting people, recruiting new employees. It's a very big business. We are dealing with the other side, the offboarding of the people from the companies. Now, insights based on artificial intelligence about what happened with the employer, the older employer that is leaving the company, that can change the way we recruit people, new employees, is a new field, is a very interesting one. We believe that we have many new insights that will give a great value for organizations. So our opportunity is a huge one, and I am sure we are not the only one in the world that knows that.
Okay, our challenge is going in the next 5 years, I guess the macro level and for CropX itself. I'll start with scaling. Everyone said that. Agriculture, both the end users themselves and also the large organizations such as Cargill, we're kind of notorious for, let's call it, longer adoption cycles. So that's I guess that's one of the issues. I think the digital or the data revolution in agriculture is, while it's growing strong, it's still relatively in its infancy. And seeing where that's going to go, building the ecosystems around it, such as the ecosystems previously built around internet companies, medical devices, finance, I think there's still ways to go. And that is a big challenge for us, being especially as an artificial intelligence or a machine learning platform. Deployment is extremely important for us. Every marginal additional unit that someone deploys in the state of Victoria in Australia is going to make all of the rest of the deployments smarter in the data that they're giving. So deployment is really one of the biggest challenges for us, especially in the next 1 or 2 years, and I think that's a challenge for other companies in our sector. I think one more point. There are relatively many unknowns in terms of what the opportunities are. Even as we grow and start working with new partners, we see that there are new things that we hadn't thought of that we can do. Being able to monetize and create more impact with the data and the insights that are collected is going to be yet another challenge as we go forward. Well, it's a challenge and an opportunity. Some of which we don't know. So I think it's an exciting next 5 months and 5 years. And 5 days. And
yeah. Okay. So this is a question that you're not prepared for it, but. Well, you know about the other one.
We were told about a surprise question, but we weren't able to extract any information.
Okay. In your wildest dreams, okay, Who do you want as your partner in work? It can be global and it can be local.
So we have a lot of. Okay. We have. Okay. We have. I think for a company like us, I can think of not even one partner to go with and scale our company together with. I would say there are a few, even like corporates today that we're speaking with that hopefully we will be able to work together, and that will be like achieving one of those dreams. As we will need at some point either to do it ourselves, scaling in every hospital, in every place in the world, or we will find the right partner that will work with us and do it with us with his marketing channel, the distributing abilities. And one of the things that I'm happily that we all achieved until today as our partners, as investors, is to have investors that some of them are here in the crowd, are more than just more than just funding the company, believe in the same way, values, see the big picture, and this is the way to, like, if you ask about the dreams, where we want to be and where we want to go. So collecting those kind of partners all the way, building the management in the right way, and the support of the investors will be the way we believe IControl will reach the goal in the right way.
Or you're being too rational. I wanted the wildest dream. So we'll get back to you after that.
Well, we are living the wildest dream Shoshi and me could have 2 years ago. At the beginning, we tried we ask ourselves the same question: who can be our best partners in the world? And right now, they are our partners. One of them is Professor Dan Ariely. He's maybe the most known Israel in the world, behavioral economic professor. And his input in our model about measuring human consulting and artificial intelligence, all together, the input of Professor Dan Ariely is a huge one. So that was our biggest dream, and we are living it. He's our partner. A second one is Elon Tirosh, a serial entrepreneur in Israel and the States. He established startups. He make big business, also scaling up, and an exit. So he knows how to make the vision, make it to a company, and also making the good business. That one is Professor Jonathan Smilansky, a well-known professor in employment and developing career. And if we are speaking about the investors, and the Rishon investment group invest a few months ago in our company, so we don't have any more dreams. We are living our dreams, but since tomorrow we are going to have new ones.
I apologize, it's going to be relatively rational. What can I do?
I wasn't rational.
You're good.
Our dream partner, and this is our business model and our strategy right now, is to work with what we call strategics. So these could be, I'll kind of describe. If you think about the ag food supply chain or the value chain, if the farmers, let's call it in the middle, before it, you'll have seed companies, equipment companies like irrigation companies. After the farmer, you'll see, and I'm simplifying, large food manufacturers all the way down to the retail and to your plate. So the whole thing. We want to work with strong channel partners on the supply chain. those could be my ex-company that have significant touch points and influence on the whole value chain, which can allow us and allow thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of growers globally increase what they're doing, get us the ability to collect significant amounts of information in order to improve and also monetize at the organizational level. So it could be a Cargill, it could be an equipment company such as the Israeli Netafim, who are actually interested in us. It could be large co-ops that are out there, like in the United States and in Australia. Large food manufacturers such as a Nestle, who have extreme interest in sustainability of the supply chain, knowing kind of what happened and, first of all, what's in the brands that they're manufacturing, and how those brands came to be in terms of all the way back to how it was grown. So, you know, there are all kinds of discussions out there, palm oil and how it was grown and where, and are we competing with rainforests and urbanization, all these kind of things. So these are these large corporations, large strategic partnerships that can help us get to market as a small growth phase company that will not develop its own distribution channels. These would be the dreams.
I'm very rational. Well, we used to have like this dreams of maybe having like one of the more famous ALS patients to work with our device. We were in touch also with Stephen Hawking back then. I mean, it didn't work out, unfortunately. But maybe Steve Gleason, who is one of the famous he was an NFL football player, and he did a Super Bowl commercial, I think 2 years ago. So maybe doing that with the IControl in the next Super Bowl game.
You see, this is nice. Okay, so before we go to you for to present some questions, I have one last question, a quick one regarding measurements, the impact of your work. What indicators do you look at through the process of your work on the impact of your work, whether it's on sustainability, whether it's on social health issues, etc., etc.?
So at this point, I must say, like, I'm also researching myself the field of impact. I'm trying to find the right formula to do it, because I think this field is still evolving to find the right way to measure impact, because there's so many different impact companies, and how do you really measure impact? And at our company, I must say, like, we feel we look on the people that we work with, we see the impact that we do, but I mean, when we calculate that, we have we calculate that when we show it to hospitals or other centers, on the time we save, on the communication, like the well-being or miscommunication that might happen. But we would love to still develop our impact model in this area, because there's a lot of methods. And personally, myself, and I was visiting also the Oxford Center, the Skoll Center, and there's a lot of different ways today. And where we found IControl, we see the impact that we do, but we still try to find where is the real formula to measure, how to measure the IControl. And if you have any ideas, so, yeah.
Maybe the crowd.
Sure.
No, we have. Yeah.
Of course, yeah, we talk about it in our meeting. Well, social impact and investors in social impact, they are not looking for words and charity. It's a business. And if you are making a business in social impact field, you must to measure it. And I have here some notes from a very special research. that wanted to ask HR managers in the 500 biggest companies in the United States about the characteristics of all their employees. And I have my notes here. They receive a list of many features and ask which features characterize the best way all their employees. And what do you think was the answer? Which characteristics the employer think about the older employees? So they say about low technological skills and low willingness to learn and low creativity and low flexibility and low productivity. Until here in this research is no news, right? Everyone here in the hall, maybe you think the same, and that the impact, the social impact, that's what we want to change. But the next stage in the research was the interesting one. Same questions were asked all their employees in exactly those companies, the 500 biggest companies in the United States. And what do you think was the result? Was the opposite of what the employer said, or was it similar? Who thinks the opposite? And now who thinks similar? And you're right. That's the social problem in the field of employment. The employees themselves thought or think about themselves as unflexible, unable to learn new technology, and so on. So we measure the mindset of the employers and the employees in the workplaces. We measure the change in behavior, not only what they think, what is happening in the workplaces, what are the attitudes in the field about older employees, and you can think about what is the percent of older employees in workplaces that the managers send them to new courses about new technology. I can tell you the percent is very little. So you can measure what happens before Futuring Up start working with that workplace, what happens a year after, we can measure it, and then we can see, and we are seeing a change. It will take time to make a huge change in the whole society, in Israel and in the world, but we are in our way to do it.
Okay, on measurement. So the whole premise of what we do is being able to measure accurately, deliver the information, and then create insights from it. So that's the whole idea. CropX is, I guess we're a bit more mature. We're already commercially deployed, so we're creating the impact already in the United States, Australia. We're deployed in other places. We're actually working already with some of the companies that I would have listed or would list in my dream companies that I mentioned earlier. We're very fortunate with that. I don't know if we the strategy and the philosophy is not to. It's definitely an impact because it's a sustainability play, but there's a real and quite robust business case behind it. Otherwise, I don't think the impact investment would work. I think I agree with you guys. The end user and or the large channel partners that we're talking about must see that there's an ROI to their investment. Otherwise, they couldn't care less. Oh, great! I'm saving water. Am I making? Did I increase my yield way beyond the costs of this relatively cheap system? Yes, I did. And did I save some on my inputs? By the way, they're saving on inputs not only on water, even at the level of saving energy because they're using their irrigation systems less time. Some savings in labor. So has to be a business case behind it. And the third pillar of how we measure, it's very important for us at CropX to actually experiment with third-party back. We do large-scale third-party backed experiments to measure. One experiment which we recently completed was actually going to a United States farmer, relatively advanced operation, carved up his field, and then we kind of randomly, it's an irrigated field, we kind of randomly tested some parts of the field he would irrigate the way he used to. So models a little bit like this, a little bit about what the neighbor's doing, things like that. And some parts would be irrigated based on what CropX would suggest. This is not the only experiment, but even there, we saved 40% of irrigation water, 40%, and also were able to increase their yield by 9 or 10% because we sped up the cycles. So the whole idea is to measure. We know at real time exactly what's going on in the soil exactly. And we do with that a lot in terms of prescription and telling them, this is what you have to do in the next week or two based on the fact that it's going to rain 3 days from tomorrow and so on and so forth.
Thank you very much. Time for your questions. You need the mic or? Okay.
There's one here.
Thank you. I have a comment and then a question. The guy in the middle, your dream should be 4 letters, AARP. It's as simple as that. The question that I have is, I want a definition of impact, because I went to another similar conference and people argued with me that Apple is an impact investment, so is Facebook, so is Microsoft, so is basically, one person wouldn't stop arguing with me that every single company can argue that they're impact. My humble opinion, the only impact on the panel is the ALS guy. So can someone, I know there's an investor here or she left, maybe she could also get involved, but I only see the IControl as impact. I don't see the other two as impact.
Well, I think your statement is, you're right. Maybe everyone, and maybe Lee here can have the exact answer.
Yes,
Every company that sells a product or a service can say they are making an impact and a change in the life of their customers, and you're right. I believe my answer is, and my co-partner and all my partners in the company, we start by thinking, how can it be that people at the age of 50 are laid out of companies, of workplaces, and the society, the governments, other workplaces can't make it possible for them to re-entering the workplace. That we start from that problem. Right now, after a time, we thought, and right now we know, it can be changed. But you can change it by changing the mindset of the employers, changing the mindset of the employees, and we have right now the model to make it possible. Instead of that, of course, we are a company as a business. We want to make money, but we want to make money, and I can tell you my point of view. I want my grandchildren to live in a different world, and they are going to be able to say that their grandfather make a little change to make it happen. So that's about your statement.
In addition, we have, I brought a secret weapon that she is the impact specialist. Her name is Lee Scholar.
Hi. So I've been in the impact investing world around 11 years, and your question is a good question. I think the main idea we need to understand when we're talking about impact investing is that is an investment strategy. It is not about the ventures themselves. Of course, every company operating in the world hires people, has an impact. You're giving someone a salary, you have an impact. It doesn't even matter what the product is. That's why when we talk about impact investing, we talk about an investor, financial investor, who has added another layer to their investment decision, which is not only the risk and the return, but also a methodology around the impact they're making. including what is the problem they're trying to solve, and how does he know that he solved it, which is the measurement answer. And so, indeed, these companies are mostly, they're relevant for impact investors that are dealing with the issues or the challenges that their products are addressing. They're not relevant, just in general as, for any investor, but an impact investor that cares about sustainability in food would definitely see CropX as a good investment and so on. Sorry.
Thank you.
I would just want to make a comment and then, of course, follow them. I think this event in the morning started by a statement, says, do good, but do well. So it means that even if you are dealing with an impact companies, it doesn't mean that you cannot create a good profit. So I think each one of them has creating a good impact of the world. We can argue about what is impact for investors, but I think each one of them presented a really nice idea about how they make it good in different aspects. It can be either diseases or dealing with what we call a 45 years age, how we deal with a new market or agri-tech or whatsoever. But I think each one of them has an impact on the society, even though they are like profitable companies. How do you see Apple as the impact? What? How?
People that can't have a computer in Africa have it now in things as well.
Okay, so I understand that. I understand that, yeah, that this is an ongoing discussion, and it's not only in this room, but in every aspect of when we talk about impact. Do we have another question? Yes, Lee.
It's for Lior, actually, and I was wondering if you guys also target smallholder farmers or developing countries, where most of the unused arable land is today.
So the answer is yes. It's kind of a matter of priorities and where we are in terms of our commercial deployment. So we only began commercializing and selling product in mid-2017. We've gained a lot of way. Because the solution is very intuitive and it's a do-it-yourself installation, it actually makes a lot of sense not only for the large, Midwestern farmers, but actually does work well for smallholder farmers. So some of the discussions we're having with some of those dream companies is being able to collaborate and taking what is sometimes on large farms huge infrastructure around irrigation and mechanization and also monitoring in terms of the entire IoT and sensing capabilities. Something that is too much, it wouldn't be relevant for some of these areas of the world, and kind of downgrading it into a combined solution that makes sense for someone who has 5 acres in India. So that's also another area where we're going to go with the right partner. I don't think we would do it alone. Yeah.
You mentioned palm oil. Palm oil is a very controversial method of farming and lately has come under much criticism. Are you suggesting that you have, say, a solution? Can you hear me? Yes. My voice. I was in theater school before, so hopefully. Are you saying you're suggesting a solution to the deforestation that's happening and the loss of soil in these countries that are heavily involved in palm oil?
Well, that would be, sorry, that would be, that's a huge statement. I don't think we have the solution to stop deforestation. I think we're one of the solutions, and there are other types of solutions that I've kind of discussed earlier, kind of attacking this global problem from many ways that can help with that. Because any solution that can help with the current resources that we have, if we can do more with them, it will have obviously an indirect impact on reducing the deforestation. Perhaps making the existing the palm oil I gave as an example because it is controversial. So if I maintain that example and we can work with all types of crops, it's crop agnostic, If I can make those plantations just a little bit more efficient, then hey, I already reduced a little bit of the stress on kind of the next phase of deforestation. So it would be, we're not the only solution that's going to stop all the global issues around the growing population and the limited resources, but definitely a very strong and interesting solution that, as we continue to deploy, will create more and more measurable impact.
Alex, you mentioned before that you want to make a change in the mind of the employer and the employee. Can you elaborate how you actually do it? You mentioned what you want to do, but how this happened?
We have another final question, and then
it's very similar. I really had a really similar maybe follow-up, because I really want to tell you I appreciate your great mind, and you really have a very philosophical, but you put it to reality. But how do you persuade your future clients that you are really needed? Because it sounds like a wonderful conversation on coffee or dinner, but you really put it to work, and how do you get remunerated? Do you take partnership in land, for example?
Are you asking me or him?
Everybody.
Everybody. Okay. So our business model is a B2C, which means the employer buys our product for his employees. And he buys this product because not almost, a large number of employers that were at the moment of firing an older employee, they have budgets to make this process easier and making it possible for the entity, for the organization, working on with no difficulties, with employees unions, and so on and so on. So we are there to give the employer our service. At the moment the employee leaves the entity, the organization, and we are there with the employee since that moment and the months after. The employer receives insights about the process that employee left past since that moment. And the most important thing for the employer, and that's why he pays the money, he receives insights about the culture, the problems, the opportunities that fill the employees inside the company, and then he can make better the recruits' ways for the future.
and then we can wrap.
So how do we make money? Big question. On our end, it's actually not that complicated. There are various business models and also revenue models. I think in the near future we'll switch to a real true SaaS, where farmers will get the hardware and the application software for monthly fees. They'll be able to, and that's how we'll get that's how the revenue will work. It might happen through a channel partner, or so a true SaaS model will probably be in the near future. Right now we have some sort of a hybrid because we do have a hardware segment to our solution. So people actually buy the unit, and if it's a channel partner, they'll buy many, and we can work on various scale discounts and other types of models, because there's an actual business case here. People do see the ROI once they've deployed. I think also in the future, if I'm thinking about revenue models, right now we keep it relatively simple. In the future, we'll also go probably to being able to charge sort of by acre under management. So we already identify the actual fields that people are covering with image recognition. We'll be able to tell this is how much land we're now covering. We'll tell you how many physical units you need in the ground, and then we'll also be able to add layers. So, okay, you want automation, so $4 more a month. You want prediction, yield prediction, $2 more. So we're heading that way.
I think in our case it's quite direct. For the home care use, like ALS, stroke, so like I said, IControl is already reimbursed. I mean, it is inside the Israeli health basket from this year, so they pay the full amount for every patient. Today already we have patients that have the IControls paid by the Israeli government. In the NHS, same idea. We are already being bought by the system in England. And our model is not only by one-time payment, we also have cloud services you can download. We are working on more content, for example, audiobooks, music, albums, everyone hears it. Why not give those content directly here to the patient when he's in his bedtime? And inside the facilities, what's interesting, what we are doing now, is the fact that 6 million people are visiting only ICU departments in the States every year. Our real business model in the ICU is the disposables. It's the headset you need to switch for every patient inside the, and this is where our maybe biggest opportunity for this market. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much for coming here and listening. Thank you, panelists. It was really, really exciting. And we'll see you again.